Today, we're talking about career confidence, what it looks like, how it shows up in your results, and why it's important to know the difference between normal old confidence and self-confidence. A lack of confidence can sabotage your career in surprising and little talked about ways. So today, we are shining the light on these little buggers so that you can make the changes you want to have the career and the life you've always dreamed of. Grab a pen and paper. This is a good one. You're listening to the Career Change Podcast with career coach, mum, and ex-corporate girl, Gina Hubbard. This is a no BS discussion about everything to do with your career, including how to make those hours at work happier, easier, and more fulfilling so that you can get on with living the life that you want. So, let's get going. Welcome back to the Career Change Podcast. In the last episode, I talked about being in a season of reflection and reevaluating what I want from my life, and in particular, more my business and my job, because I'm one of those crazy people who has both. I run my own coaching business and I work part-time for someone else. And I invited you to join me in this reflection. And if you haven't listened to that episode, I highly recommend that you go back and listen to episode 5, because in there I explain why it's super important to go through this process regularly, and I give you my process for doing it and the process that I take my clients through. This process of examining what you truly desire and what is possible for you not only highlights what you want, but in contrast makes it very, very obvious what you don't want. It's very easy to see the results that you are getting that you don't want. And during this reflection, I've been thinking a lot about confidence because I've noticed a change in my behavior and in my thoughts, which is coming across as me feeling more confident and doing things differently, being more assertive, making decisions quicker, speaking up more, taking action without asking for direction. So using my own brain to come up with the path to take and then just doing it. And I know that this change has come from all the work I've done over the last 18 months on my confidence, on stepping back into my own power and knowledge and having my own back to work shit out if it goes sideways. And so I wanted to do this podcast on confidence to share what I've learned in the hopes that it might be helpful for you guys as well. So there is a lot of data out in the world on confidence, right? What it is, what it's for, and some people, coaches especially, even saying why it's not important. And I disagree. I disagree because it's linked to a bigger picture of who we are and what we have experienced and how we are currently showing up in the world. It's a part of our life story, and a lack of it can explain results that we've got in the past that we didn't want. So I think it's important, just like all of our emotions, they're all incredibly important. And because of that, confidence gets its own episode. So in my experience of nearly 20 years of coaching, is that in order to fix something, we first need to know what to fix. And the easiest way to know what to fix is to look at what we're getting, what results we are getting in our life, because they are the obvious clues that we've taken a wrong turn somewhere. So a lack of confidence can be sneaky, right? And it can show up in ways that you didn't even think of, and it can give you results that you don't want. And my job as your coach is to help you shine the light on these sneaky little buggers so that you can change them if you want to. So the first place to start, I suppose, is to ask ourselves, what is confidence? So confidence is a feeling, and that feeling is created by our thoughts. When we feel confident, our behavior reflects that. We do different things. We behave differently when we feel confident than what we do when we feel sad, for example. we act with confidence. But there are two different types of confidence. There is the confidence that we feel when we are doing something we've done before and been successful at, like pouring a glass of water. I think most of us, without even thinking about it, are pretty confident that we can successfully pour a glass of water. We do it so often that our confidence goes unnoticed by us. We just do it without even thinking about it. So that is an example of a normal everyday confidence. It's when we feel confident because we have confident thoughts about something we are practiced at or have done before. Okay, we have evidence that we can do it. So our thoughts and feelings are confident and they're easy. But then there is self-confidence. And this is the one that we need to practice because it takes some work. Self-confidence is a feeling that we can generate when we are trying something new. It may be something that scares us, that we have no evidence whatsoever that we can be successful at. Because we've never done that thing before, we have no idea if we're going to be able to do it. So what we need to generate is a feeling of self-confidence. And because we have no evidence that we're going to be successful, we generate self-confidence from our ability to have our own backs, to work it out if it doesn't go the way we want it to, and to be able to fix it if it goes pear-shaped. So here are the examples of confident versus self-confident thoughts, okay? So confidence sounds like, I've done this before, I know how to do this. Self-confidence sounds like, I've never done this before, but I know I can do what it takes to work it out. So self-confidence is having the confidence in yourself to work something out or to get something done when you've never done it before, and confidence is backed by actual evidence from your past results or outcomes. So the difference is very subtle, but very important, because when you want to change your career, especially when you want to do something completely different for a career, chances are that you're going to be doing something that you've never done before. And so you need to take some self-confidence with you. And the reason this is so important is because your feelings drive what action you take. You will behave very differently and take very different action from a place of self-confidence than you will if you don't have it. So think about that for a moment. If how we feel determines what we do, the action we take, and we know that the action that is, when we know that action is actually what gives us our results, right? Then how we think and feel are directly correlated to if we are successful or not. So our thoughts create our feelings drive our actions, and our actions give us our results. Can you see the link? And that is why how we think and feel are so very, very important when it comes to making any sort of change in your life, because it directly affects the results you get. So in your career, confidence and self-confidence will look like this. Here are some thoughts. Being able to speak up in meetings and contributing in a valuable way. It's having your own back when you make a mistake and taking ownership of your failures. It's knowing your value in your role and exactly what you contribute to the company. It's being able to say no when asked to take on more work when you already have enough. It's knowing how much work is enough. It's being able to have difficult conversations with your boss and colleagues. It's knowing that you can figure anything out and overcome any obstacles that you face. It's knowing when to ask for help and knowing what help serves you best. It's taking on new challenges and making the changes to your life and career that you want. It's about going after what you want and not giving up until you get it. And it's about sticking up for yourself and knowing when to walk away from a bad situation. But there is a sneaky, seedy underbelly to a lack of confidence that no one talks about, which I created a whole free training on because I think awareness and knowledge is power. Knowing how your lack of confidence is affecting you and your career gives you the power to change it, to make it different. And I'm going to talk about it briefly here today, but I highly recommend that you watch my free training where I go into it in much more detail, especially if you're struggling to make any progress at work, if you've tried to make changes in the past but have failed, maybe you've been ignored, and if you've seen maybe your self-esteem decline over a period of time and you have started to hate going to work, then please go and watch this training. Like I said, I go into this topic in a lot more detail than I can here on a podcast, and I'm sure it will help you get some clarity about what is really going on for you, right? So that you can start making changes that actually have some impact on your career and your happiness in that job. Okay, so one of the sneaky ways is that a lack of confidence lowers your self-esteem, which is your thoughts about yourself and your value in the world, which kind of sucks, really. Because women are bombarded with triggers that lower their self-esteem daily from mainstream media, social media. We actually don't need to be doing it to ourselves as well. A lack of confidence also keeps you in your comfort zone. Because if you aren't feeling self-confident about something, you won't be taking bold action that you've never taken before. So you'll be staying stuck inside your comfort bubble. And staying in your comfort zone doesn't create change in your life. You know you have to do something different to get different results. That's just how the world works. And I know that it works this way because it happened for me. I worked in a corporate job and wanted out. I wanted to work in my coaching business full time, but I was so scared that I would fail that I stuck it out in that job until it got to a point where I was actually burnt out. I was physically and emotionally exhausted and just mentally drained. And so I left. This was February 2020, by the way, just before the pandemic. And I worked full-time in my business, but it was from a place of being burnt out and exhausted, and I definitely do not recommend that. There is a better way to start your business, I promise. I spent the first 18 months recovering from burnout because I didn't have the self-confidence to get out of my comfort zone earlier. I listened to my self-doubt and fearful thoughts, and I believed them because I didn't have that self-confidence in myself. But I invite you to take a minute to be honest with yourself about what you're missing out on by staying in your comfort zone. Are you missing out on opportunities to progress your career? Are you missing out on promotions and salary increases? Are you even staying in a toxic work environment because you don't have the confidence or self-confidence to make a change? Is it stopping you from speaking up and sharing your knowledge and expertise? Which effectively, actually, if you think about it, renders you invisible. Are you being seen? Another way that a lack of confidence affects you at work is that it changes the way you speak. It changes the tone of your voice, the words you use, and how you speak up, and when you speak up. It is so obvious in a meeting, right? Like who is feeling confident and who isn't. And it's not about you wanting to run the meeting and being in charge, but it's about being seen and heard and making a contribution to your workplace, the contribution you're being paid to give. Another way a lack of confidence shows up is that we start to compare ourselves to other people. Probably even those people who are speaking up in the meeting when we want to, but don't. There is absolutely no way that comparing ourselves to other people serves our life. Zero upside to it, I promise you. But it is one of the most common things that comes up in coaching because it is completely normal and probably, years ago was a life-saving strategy, hundreds of years ago when we were living in caves. But in today's culture and society, it is toxic and it is the fastest way to chip away at whatever self-esteem you have left. So I don't recommend it at all, friend. And I would like to invite you to take some time to reflect on who and how you compare yourself to in a normal day. It's sneaky, so be careful. and can even be hiding in a thought you have about a work colleague's, hairstyle, for example. It's okay to notice when someone has a nice hairstyle. It's also normal and okay to be jealous of someone's hairstyle. Jealousy is fantastic. It tells you what you want in your life. It's also normal and okay to want that hairstyle, but it's not okay to compare your hair negatively to someone else's. Effectively, you are using someone else's hairstyle to make yourself feel bad, and that's not okay. Please don't do that to yourself, please. So these are some of the ways that your lack of confidence could be affecting you and your career, but there are many more. Remember, check out my free training on this topic. There is a link in the show notes that will take you right there. And in this training, I give strategies and tools for how to start to increase your awareness and levels of confidence so that you can start to show up in your job, in the world, as the amazing woman that you are, because you have gifts that no one else has, and the world needs them. It needs those gifts. And if you've been hiding them away because you haven't had the confidence to shine, then I would like to invite you to continue this journey with me. Start with the free training on this topic, because I know that you can have the career that you want. I know that being happy in your work, being recognized and paid for the value you contribute is available to you. It's available to you right now. You don't have to stay in a job that doesn't suit your needs or wants, and you don't have to stay small and quiet, denying yourself your birthright of an amazing life. It's yours. You just have to reach out and take it. So do you have the self-confidence to be who you want to be? Hey there, are you ready to know exactly why you can't make any progress in your career? If you've been working hard and are feeling burnt out and trapped, but you're not sure why, or you don't even know where to start to make positive change, then I've got you covered. Imagine what it would be like if you could earn the salary that you want, feel energized by what you do, and be free of self-doubt. Well, I'm here to tell you that you can. Your lack of confidence might be holding you back, and you might not even know it, so let's fix that. Click the link in the show notes to get my free masterclass on the 3 ways your lack of confidence sabotages your career and how to turn it around and get the salary you deserve. Inside, you'll learn the 3 key ways you might be sabotaging your own career, how these show up for even the most accomplished and self-aware woman just like you and me, and how to get your mojo back, reclaim the power in your career, and start finally earning the salary that you deserve. Born out of the blood, sweat and tears of going through this myself and the hundreds of hours of coaching women just like you to their own career success, the 3 ways I'm teaching in this training are little known and hardly talked about. So head over to the show notes now and click the link to get the free and instant access to this masterclass.